against Malaysia. So is that what you're trying to say? Are you saying that this matchup favors Cambodia?
I'm just saying, man, the tougher the opposition, the more you need to step up to actually prevail on top, and Cambodia has absolutely done that. But of course, Indonesia, they were not up against any pushovers as well. So both these teams have shown adaptability, a lot of improvements, and of course, being smart and quick on the fly. But let's take a look at the team versus here, because Thai and Dreams, the roamers for both these teams, they've been so active, so dynamic, so unpredictable, and that's definitely something to actually take into consideration.
Dreams was such a crucial player for Indonesia up against both Philippines and Argentina, and he's looking to play here again with that signature Kaja pick. But if we take a look at the player head-to-head right now, we are going to see Brands and Oppi, two highlight members as well for both respective countries. I do want to touch a little bit more on the Cambodian side, though, Oppi, because he's been an absolutely lethal goal laner. What you can see for Brands is for the KDA, GPM, and even just everything on the board, he's actually losing on paper towards Oppi. And maybe that's because of the styles of both these goal laners.
Right.
It's a little bit different, right? Where Brands now, he's a very active goal laner who wants to just clear his wave and help his team, enable that team to look for team fights around the neutral objective as early as the first turtle. Meanwhile, Oppi, he likes to take his time in that lane. He likes to get ganks a lot to enable him on the heroes. Wants to in the early.
Yeah, and he runs. Yet these
runs.
That's a surprise and comes both we see
And today and the game where they
now we know that Bandit aggression not
gonna be let go here by Cambodia.
it's a bit intense, Mirko.
Wanwan is up for grabs. The Joy as well. I think at this point, Cambodia, they need to double down. Don't ban the Joy. Go for a trade. Because if they do ban the Joy, it gives over that Wanwan towards Brands. We saw how lethal he was on that Wanwan. But Cambodia, they're playing with fire here. Banning out the Akai, leaving Joy, Kaja, Wanwan, all up for grabs. And this might be a bait. Cambodia, they can give that Joy over to Indonesia. A hero that many people have said can counter the Joy is that Kaja, bringing this Joy back with the Divine Judgment, locking her down with the suppression as well, but the Joy will still be the first pick for Indonesia. And Cambodia now has the opportunity to go for that Kaja and that Wanwan.
The Kaja and the Wanwan for a bit more kiting. We did see that when Cambodia was going up against, pardon me, I don't really remember right now at this moment, but when they were actually using this Joy as well, they banned away the Wanwan, knowing that with the counter to mobility is usually more mobility as well. They have secured it, and in the hands of Oppi, in that essentially slightly reduced gold funnel situation, Oppi can actually use this Wanwan very effectively. But Indonesia is hovering on that gourd.
Whoa!
I think this is a joke. I don't think this is going to happen.
Is it though? We've seen a lot, and we've been, sometimes they actually do pick this up. Last time I think Gourd was picked up, it was a long time ago. I think it was MP Lighty Season 7.
A different lifetime ago.
A different lifetime, a different time. But now, the Joy, when it was on the hands of Deja, it was played in the mid lane. It wasn't played in the jungle. Right now, Indonesia, they do have the chance to actually flex this pick over to the jungle. I've seen some of my friends try it out. They will go and opt for the Yve and the Lolita instead of the Gourd. Pretty wise choice in the first game up against Cambodia in a best of 3. As Lolita provides such good cover for the other members against the Wanwan, whether it's from the crossbow tang or just from preventing the weakness points from the get-go. And obviously the Yve becomes a solid hero to face off up against the Wanwan. That matchup is pretty beneficial for the Yve. But Cambodia has that Kaja, right? So Indonesia needs to be very careful.
Especially with their backline members, unless it's a Joy, of course, because that kit has a lot of safety and security. For the side of Indonesia, though, having that Yve, we talked about utility, and now with the current changes, Yve isn't locked down only to being effective with the real-world manipulation. She can actually have a lot more impact with the other skills as well. And when you can slow down that Wanwan, maybe that is how they plan on catching the Wanwan as well. The Martyrs, though, has been picked up by Cambodia, so they are setting up for a very, very oppressive early game.
Carmilla banned out Rashi, and now Cambodia are going to go for the first ban in the second phase. They've opted to go for the Martyrs. This is a very heavy dive/pick composition from Cambodia, just looking to scatter Indonesia's composition, their formation as well in these team fights. because it seems like it's the opposite. Indonesia are trying their best to form a front-to-back composition that really wants to, well, yeah, play front-to-back. That's it, you know, play around their frontliners, around their backliners. Yuzong, though, is going to be banned out. Cambodia setting up for a pretty vulnerable mage, I believe, with that Yuzong ban, because currently they do have 3 somewhat divey heroes, right?
Yeah, it's interesting right now because for Cambodia, if they are afraid of a dive, they're going to pair a long-range mage along with a Martis, Kaja, and Wanwan. It doesn't really make sense on paper, but of course, when it comes to Cambodia, they usually have something just hidden up their sleeve, man. They were the ones coming out with that Joy pick as well, so we'll have to see from Indonesia what will be their response. They want to make sure that they don't get dove in the backline as well. They have the Lolita to deter any kind of massive dive. So I guess what they need right now is some DPS, making sure that the Martis cannot just overpower and just run into them, but they will ban away that Faramis instead.
You see, that's why I was kind of confused with the ban towards Yuzong, right, for Cambodia. It definitely sets up for a mage like Farsa to come through for Cambodia, but I would have expected that Yuzong ban to come from Indonesia with the Yves, with already somewhat of a front-to-back composition. But I think at this point, Cambodia really needs to stop brands from doing something, right? And on the 1-1, you want to just ban the Irithel. Irithel just becomes such a good pick up against the 1-1, but the Leslie actually gets banned out, leaving the Irithel up for grabs for Indonesia, which is interesting.
I think we see a similar quote-unquote tactic used by the Philippines, having a Yves and an Irithel against the 1-1. We saw it, I think, in game number 1 in the earlier match. And it makes a lot of sense. I think Leslie has a lot of damage, and that is dangerous for the Martis, for the tankier frontline members. But having an Irithel, as you mentioned, Mirko, counters that 1-1. And in the late game, if Cambodia is really going hard for an engage, the mobility coming in from an Irithel that can just hit while moving, right, will be a huge advantage to the kite game. And looking at Indonesia right now, with a Yves, it's going to be very difficult to run away or towards the Indonesian side.
I think at this point, Indonesia needs to choose whether they want to ban out the mid lane or that XP lane. They decide to go for a Lunox ban, which is interesting, but it does signify again that Indonesia might want to go for a sustainable XP laner, a Uranus, an Esmeralda.
Fredrin?
I think the Uranus becomes a solid choice up against the 1-1. You're really good at sustaining even up against that crossbow of Tang. But Cambodia here, it's their chance to pick first here. First pick over to Cambodia in the second phase. Ooh, hovering over a lot of very interesting heroes, but I do believe...
all the choices.
All the choices, yeah. I think the Lapu makes a lot of sense, but if they really want to try to lock that Joy down, the Jawhead's alright. I mean, we haven't seen it so far. Technically, your unstoppable force does follow through on every single dash, right? It can really follow you in. But they will decide to go for the safer option. You know, Jawhead in the XP lane may be a bit too aggressive, especially considering that they don't know who that Jawhead's going to be laning up against. So they go for the safer pick right now, and Indonesia can respond with an XP laner like, well, you know, it's Psychots. Paquito, Benedetta. These are the 2 heroes he's known for back in the MDL.
I think Paquito was the option that the Philippines opted for eventually in the hands of Papadap. Dap, Mirko. Okay. Some character development from Mirko right here. But the Paquito with the knockout strikes can be a big problem for Cambodia if they are trying to funnel in to, you know, pile up that follow-up. Yep. It will be the Benedetta having that elective final blow with the Petrify combo. And of course, Brands on that Melissa yet again. We have seen how slippery he can be with that getaway. And now for Cambodia, one final pick. I think crowd control is definitely something they want to go for. And some range will be very, very beneficial because they're up against so much range right now.
Forget slippery, man. When I think of Brands as Melissa, I think just sustain, because at one point up against Philippines, he was standing still. He was just hitting. He just found that opportunity, found that open space to actually go for that Inspire. And that's what you can expect from Brands. He likes to make these crazy plays happen. It doesn't matter that he dies sometimes, as long as he dishes out enough damage for his team to be enabled. But Cambodia now, ooh.
All right.
That's a solid pickup for Cambodia. Now, this is pretty scary for both teams. I think for the draft, this is, for me, I think both teams have drafted themselves a really solid composition. It's just gonna come down to the execution.
I would agree, but I think considering the fact that Cambodia is so CC reliant and Indonesia has a hero that is notorious for just ignoring, shrugging off crowd control. I think they have a slight advantage, although it does seem like Taz will be the one pouting that joy, and that means that there will not be a vengeance available, so the burst damage solution can still be applied by Cambodia, and that is a scary prospect, although Taz is a mechanical genius.
We'll see. We saw him on the Fanny, on the Gushin, an absolutely crazy player. But from Cambodia, we've seen Deja pop off, Olpi as well, so it's equal right now in the upper bracket finals on the draft. It's going to come down to how both of these teams execute their game plans, their styles. But Arashi, I asked you before the draft who you think is going to win. Now, after the drafts, tell us.
All things considered, especially with the fact that the joy is on the table, I must go with Indonesia. But of course, that Kadena pick is just so volatile, right? There's so much potential. And of course, when you're trying to match each other in the pickoff game, the blessing of the ocean is so annoying to deal with. I think the early game favors Cambodia quite a bit. But if they don't get rolling, man, that mid game is dangerous from the side of Indonesia.
Well, I think we are going to be ready to jump into the Land of Dawn for game number 1. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the upper bracket finals will be the first team in the grand finals securing the top 2 position. Will it be Indonesia or will it be Cambodia as we jump into the Land of Dawn for game number 1?
Getting straight into it, and already you see a lot of emphasis in the mid lane. Wave pressure is also a big factor, especially if you want to be active in the early game. You want to get those pickoffs. It all starts with the lane. If you can push earlier, you can rotate faster and set up for those very interesting skirmishes. Although for now, we have to contend with a pause.
Well, this does give us a little bit more time to actually, you know, dissect the draft a bit, right, Arashi? So let's do exactly that. Cambodia, I think the synergies here for both of these teams, it's proper based on the drafts. Kadira, Lapu, Martis, Wan, leaning heavily. They just execute their ultimate ults with their aim.
So many threats, a Flicker, Divine back of that lap of them is Asia position.
So, it does work. They want to do. Why do you think
the real reason Indonesia is maybe they like to do a step?
We're hearing into back.
So you have some competition for town. So but before
siempre hay cosas que mejorar, check what we did. Facing match. ¿Manos a la misma estrategia contra el próximo partido?
Sí. Vamos a salir con todo. La idea es ganarlo todo. Somos la selección de Argentina y vamos a salir a ganar.
Yeah, well, it obviously depends on the pick and like their rivals when they have. But yeah, we're going to give.
Here, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the first game of the upper bracket finals.
It's been a short delay, but here we are. Finally, we are back into the game. Thanks for waiting, ladies and gentlemen. As we can see right now, both teams still being very, very aggressive. And as predicted, the mid lane, there's just so much action here, and Psycuts wants a part of the action.
Well, we'll see once again. Again, very sorry for the short delay. There was reports of an earthquake here in Indonesia. So we are going to be resuming. Again, we were just making sure nothing was going on. Everything's all safe to go.
Safety is #1 priority.
Exactly, but now you can already see a very aggressive movement from the side of Dreams. Going to be taken down by Impunity, this roster from Cambodia. Team Cambodia strikes first in game number 1 with first blood.
The Kadira, man, is just so dangerous. And the playmaking is just very subtle. The spells from this Kadira isn't exactly that flashy, so you really need to pay attention. Otherwise, Deja is going to have a great time here, and he is on that mid lane Kadira, so that's a lot more damage to think about.
Here early on, you can already see as well that Brands is having a bit of trouble here, even though he is actually utilizing that turret really well to get the favorable trade up against the 1-1. This matchup, though, I do want to talk a little bit about it. The turtle has spawned in Arashi, who has the lead here, who has the advantage.
I think it's quite balanced, but Cambodia, they have a lot more tools to begin fights, so I think the Indonesians need to be very, very careful, and now it begins.
Luminal Blast comes in, and that's going to be T taken down. The Petrify as well with the final blow as the backline will be targeted by Boom. Hijime with the flicker to get out to safety, but that's the retribution by Taz as he goes absolutely massive, dealing a whole lot of damage, picking up a kill as well. Boom, melted down, forced to flicker out, and Indonesia comes back, secures the turtle, and 2 kills.
I wish I can say I was surprised, but look at how oppressive this Joy is. A lot of damage, a lot of survivability. At the end of the fight, Taz had almost half his HP bar worth of shields, and that is something that in this early game Cambodia cannot deal with. They simply just don't have the items, the damage to deal with it, and this is why it's so annoying to have this Joy on the opposing side, and they need to be more proactive here, because if Indonesia are the ones engaging the fight, like now you can see, it's just very, very dangerous, and they are risking getting picked off.
The rhythm of Joy and the electrifying beats, it does so much damage. It's
Nasty combo.
nasty combo, and on top of that, nasty mobility. He's untargetable practically when she is using that rhythm of Joy. But
5 jumps essentially, I think.
yeah, 4 or 5 jumps. If you keep on resetting it, if you play with the rhythm as well, you deal more damage with the passive. But there is another pause, it seems, that is going to be initiated from Cambodia right now, as we'll see what is wrong. Again, please be patient with us, ladies and gentlemen. There is, I think, a technical issue again.
We want to make sure that the game runs as intended. Nothing just sways the balance in anyone's favor. But for now, very, very interestingly enough, it's the matchup here between the Joy and the Martis. It's just very interesting because it's the same idea. A lot of dashes, tankiness as well, and a lot of damage. So now it becomes a showdown almost between the Martis and the Joy, especially in this early game where you can just abuse that immunity and just take control.
Game teams, it is that happen stage. The Kaj, but if not, considering the Divine Judgment
As well, very dangerous to spell composition.
by Cambodia and Indonesia. Again, 3 minutes in, there is a 1,000 gold lead currently for Indonesia. Both teams are playing it relatively passive here as Taz jumps in once again with the rhythm of Joy. Jumps in as well, using the electrifying beats. Doesn't get the gold buff though.
That's a fancy beat actually that comes up when you use that ultimate. But Taz is just all across the map, trying to get the gangs up, getting that farm as well. I think the mid game is where both teams have the resources to try and start just turning up the aggression and starting to attempt to at least snowball or maybe perhaps just get objective advantages, because both teams have shown that they have that macro knowledge, and I think with that makes the team fights just that much trickier depending on what neutral objective is on the map.
Good read by Brands here, as we mentioned. Strong side towards that gold lane for Cambodia. Taz again with the rhythm of Joy just being such a nuisance. Lutu still able to get out on the Martis anti-CC, but it is just going to be Indonesia who takes the turtle for free, as Cambodia has opted to actually play around that gold lane. Opie finding a solo kill up against Brands, and T and Deja are waiting patiently for Taz to step in. He jumps in, gets caught in Divine Judgment, and that's the burst we mentioned, Arashi. The Petrify as well, but Taz is still able to survive. Jumps in with the rhythm of Joy once, twice, 3 times, and that's the 4th with the electrifying beats, dealing as much damage as possible. Deja gets taken out by Dreams. So much shielding for the Joy, Arashi.
Taz on the Joy. Yes, there's a lot of shielding here, but even before that, in the initial CC lock, he's just able to survive from that without a vengeance. So that is very interesting. I really thought that it was over for him right there, but he was able to survive with a sliver of HP, and that is all you need on this hero. You need to seal the deal before there's any counterplay. Otherwise, it's an absolute disaster. And for Cambodia, now they're on the back foot for sure. Indonesia will try and use this lead, this control, and get those nasty pickouts of their own, or even a big combo, unless Cambodia can do something surprising, like the trap in the purple buff. It was a very great attempt.
6 minutes in now, it's still a 1,000 gold lead. I feel like Cambodia, even though they've been behind, they've been losing a lot in these skirmishes, they're still keeping level head. They're really farming well, and they're trying their best to minimize that gold lead. Meanwhile, Boom actually gets a solo kill on Psychots. Deja will fall as well. It's 1-for-1 as Taz is looking for an engage. It's the conceal by T to help his gold laner Opie get out. Dreams, though, going to be brought back for Divine Judgment. That's the shield coming up, and that's going to be Opie who's looking for all the shield. That's the crossbow tang popped up. It's going to be Dreams who gets taken down, but it's going to be traded back in as Opie will fall to the hands of Brands. That's, again, Taz doing so much damage with the electrifying beats. popping that sick beat, my man.
On the sick beat, but losing the mid turret in the process. That is a very good rotation from Lutu. But you can see that the rotation game very much favors Indonesia. They're always one step ahead due to that wave clear advantage. But somehow, some way, Cambodia, they've been staying in their lanes, and eventually they are having a turret advantage. Although now, Indonesia has a chance to actually use that time to go for the neutral objectives.
Cambodia are so good at looking for these crazy pickoffs almost everywhere on the map. But they're opting again to put most of their resources to play around OP. 2-0 stat line currently. Still the same stat line as Brands, but again, they are already getting that push control around the topside river. Indonesia rotating with a similar pattern towards that top side. Lutu trying his best to just open up the map, and both teams will not decide to go in just yet.
Oh, they go in for the gold buff though, but it seems to be just a small trade going on, unless Dreams goes into the bush.
Uh-oh, that's going to be Dreams. A lot of resources placed onto him. He soaks in every single damage from the crossbow attack, and that's going to be Taz caught very low. Still able to dash in with the Rhythm of Joy. That's Brands actually locking Lutu in place with his go away. Lutu finding the kill, but will fall as well to the hands of Taz, who picks up a double. Psychots now onto T, who has the Divine Judgment, will be able to pull him back into the turret. Now Boom with the Bravest Fighter is able to dish out some damage, but Psychots gets out with relative ease on that Benedetta.
Cambodia is getting some kills on the board, but they're allowing Taz to start to snowball, man. He is 3-0 right now. He has that Genius one, and he has built the Oracle very early on. It means less damage for him, but it also means that Deja as well as Tai cannot actually burst him down as reliably as they would like, and it's only going to get worse from here on out. He is already very tanky, and with the steel leg plates, that is some very efficient itemization to ensure that the damage from OP as well as Lutu and Boom can be mitigated as well.
Here, again, it feels like Cambodia. Sheesh!
Sorry, my bad.
It's okay. There's also a Kalas right there from Dream, so both teams just having fun, right? Even though they're competing here in the upper bracket finals for the grand final spot, it's great to see that both teams are still enjoying their time in the Land of Dawn. Cambodia, though, however, are 3,000 gold behind of Indonesia. This will definitely impact their next few fights if they do decide to commit and fight, contest, instead of trading. Boom has already started his rotation down to that top side. Deja going to be able to catch Psychots with the Petrify. Suppression as well with Divine Judgment. Taz wreaking havoc with the Rhythm of Joy. That's the Nunon Blast placed in as well. Popped in. T going to be caught, but it's only the Roamer taken down for the XP lane. Lutu and Boom still relatively untouched. He gets the stun onto two members, but the real world manipulation is still there. Taz again jumping, weaving everywhere. Has the electrifying beats, but will not choose to use it just yet. They'll choose to go for the Lord now. 1 for 1, it still stands, but it's still Indonesia with more control.
Indonesia has more control, and they are trying to use it to bait in more kills. Lutu goes in 1v3, but he will be forced to back away, and Indonesia is not risking any 50-50 in this Retribution battle. They're waiting for the right moment, and they have a structure taken on the other side of the map just for good measure. Now, with Hijumi having a glowing wand, the poke damage is going to get very, very much worse for the side of Cambodia, and that will pressure them into making these reckless engages, and perhaps that will allow Indonesia to punish it even more. As you can see, Cambodia very intent on getting this Lord.
Top lane, tier 1 going to be target T, looking for that Divine Judgment, but a perfectly placed go away is there. Taz, again with the Rhythm of Joy, soaking in so much damage, but will be caught in the Petrify. That's a shutdown over to OP, who's going massive now. Has the crossbow tang, just one more weakness point onto Dreams. But OP gets poked back. Falling back now, Dreams is looking for it. Psychots with a Petrify onto 2 in the final blow. Finds OP. It's absolutely amazing for Psychots, but the crossbow tank given over to OP, who's still able to convert it onto Dreams. 2 members falling once again. Cambodia have risen again. It's a 3 for 1.
The 3 for 1, an absolute disaster for Indonesia. Taz got shut down by none other than OP, and that's a huge gold swing as the Indonesians go in for another fight.
Brands trying to do what he can here. He's going for the steal, but will not be able to find it. The go away and the Wind of Nature popped in, but it's going to be petrified. And you can't Wind of Nature. The damage from that Kadita magic penetrating through, and Brands taken off the board.
That's a 2v5 essentially for the Indonesians. Very, very reckless. And it seems like they're losing control in this game right now. They certainly are not expecting the difficulty for Taz to actually take control of that game. We questioned if Cambodia has a solution, has something in the pocket. That is what they're showing right now. With the Lord pushing in, Cambodia goes for the jungle control as well, and the Indonesians are struggling to keep up.
Taz, he needs to be a bit more disciplined with that rhythm of joy. Last time he jumped in and got caught in the Divine Judgment. That led to Cambodia getting a good fight. Concealed play, T flickering forward, not getting anyone, but that's going to be the joy. Targeted down, Taz out instantly now as Lutsu is able to disengage. A good stun from Boom to once again help the rest of the members to back off. It's another 1-0, Rashi. And Cambodia, it feels like they're one step ahead.
It seems like now that Joy Pick is actually harming the chances of Indonesia because Taz keeps going in and overestimating the flexibility, the power of this Joy, and Cambodia is absolutely punishing it. If they take it slow, Brands as well as Hijime has enough damage to start poking around, to pressure the members of Cambodia. There's a lot of physical defense being built, but Hijime with the glowing ones ready right now can actually poke them down before Taz goes in to secure those kills. So I think they have to be more synergized in how they want to approach these fights, because right now, it seems like it's very disconnected. We're seeing a lot of fights from Indonesia without the whole team, the 5 members at the same time.
Ooh. Cambodia. We questioned their decision not to ban the Joy, but right now it's working to their favor as T opens up the map, forcing Dreams to back off. Indonesia zoned away from their own jungle as the orange buff will be claimed by Cambodia again. It feels so tough for Indonesia currently because Cambodia have such a good kite back composition. They can kite back, they can even engage now, and that's what we mentioned earlier, right? This pick style of composition that Cambodia opted to go for and kept on building towards. It really is looking super strong right now.
Especially because early on, Indonesia has their own pressure, so Cambodia cannot synergize, cannot set up for these big ambushes. But now with the tides turned, with the gold lead in the hands of the Cambodians, they are all over the jungle of the Indonesians. The Magic Sentry will expose them for now, as Brands has picked up this Demon Hunter sword, allowing him to maybe be a bigger threat toward the tankier members.
Ooh, that was such a risky move by Taz. Man, he dashed towards T on the Kaja. But he knows exactly what's going to happen there. He knows that T won't be in range after he uses the Rhythm of Joy. But it's just pretty stressful for me to watch.
Again, very aggressive moves. That's not quite necessary for Taz, so maybe this is just his character, his killer instinct, his mechanical skill wanting to be used, but now Psychos is being targeted.
Uh-oh, Psychos going to be caught, doesn't get the eye for an eye, but he gets the Petrify. Now the final blow as well, caught! No crossbow tang used just yet. Indonesia decided to look for the trade here on the Lord. Look for the Retribution. Taz gets it, but he's going to be caught there. Brands with a brilliant disengage. Crossbow tang still ready. Opie pops it in. Winter Truncheon by Taz now. Caught in the midst of it all. Jumps in. Back and forth once again. Taz gets out. It's a good trade. Psychots traded in for the Lord for Indonesia to stay in this game.
Wow, that mobility, man, is just so tough to deal with. Cambodia, with 4 members, were unable to get that pickup onto Taz, and now Hijime has built a Winter Truncheon as well, so the dive is just less effective.
Uh-oh, Dreams caught Taz doing so much damage. Taz is absolutely a monster here. He's still able to survive, buying so much time, and it's a 1-for-0, 1-for-1 here. Everybody's low, 2-for-1, as that's a kill taken by Brands. 2 members low from Cambodia. The Enhanced Lord marching top. And it does seem like we're going to get a replay here, Arashi. What happened in this team fight?
Cambodia going for the aggression, crowded around together, and the AoE coming in from Hijime is something that they are not taking into consideration. What? They get very, very low, but now another fight is breaking up in the bottom, in the actual real game time.
Hijime, apparently, a bit too aggressive, overstepping his boundaries there in the enemy jungle. But it's all good for Indonesia still. Even though they lost Hijime, they were able to find a few trades on the board. Tier 2 in the top lane, mid lane, and even in the bottom lane, equalizing the turrets here for themselves. But the Tier 2 hasn't fallen in that bottom lane just yet.
I'm questioning a bit how the Winter Truncheon is the option that Hijime is building for, because I think even if he does survive with the Winter Truncheon, that means that the whole roster of Cambodia will be on him when he gets out of it. I thought he would opt for something a bit more kite orientated, but now he has that double wand combo along with the Divine Glaive. That's more than enough damage, and he will be one of the main targets for the side of Cambodia. But keep in mind, Cambodia are just stacking up that magic resistance. 2 Radiant Armors already built, Oracle for Boom as well. That will mean that the bulk of the damage will need to come from Brands and Psychots. We'll have to see, can that win condition be completed, achieved by the Indonesians?
Well, they're already popping that Conceal. Dreams looking for the plays, opens up the map. T there, doesn't choose to go for the Divine Judgment just yet. Deja gets out with the Odyssey. Ludu still soaking in a lot. OP
Psychots
trying his best to look for it. Psychots tries to cut the wave there, but it's not going to be able to happen. T gets a Divine Judgment, but Psychots once again is going to be able to jump in. Winter Nature popped in by OP, who's going to be massive here. Has a lot of room to play with. Boom jumps in. Brands gets stunned, but has the Winter Nature. OP still in the back line, still hitting. Has it, having the crossbow attack. Will try his best to look for all the weakness points, but it's going to be reset once again as Taz finds a shutdown onto Lutu. Cambodia on the back foot. 2 members alive. For Indonesia, it's just Psychots who gets taken down. OP once again trying to make the miracle play happen as he looks for the crossbow attack and he finds it. Dreams gonna be taken down. Taz as well, but a winner question is there for Taz. Didn't have last, but OP is still kiting, still saving Cambodia from getting the amazing defense.
Boom now chasing for a kill. Real manipulation is being popped, but the OP will be there to zone them all away. And this is the story of the game right now. If Indonesia can get pickouts of their own, they have an advantage. Let's take a look at that replay once again. Cambodia going in aggressively, but then being counter-engaged, and Psychots and Taz diving towards the backline, zones everyone away until Boom comes in and OP realizes there's a chance here. He goes back in for the outplay, gets that crossbow of Tang, and that is how dangerous Cambodia is even on the back foot.
Oh my god, that was a 2v4, and OP continues to surprise us from last 2021 MSC to now. They're able to find the Lord because of that play, that defense that went so well for them. They punished Indonesia all on the back of OP in the late game. Even up against Dreams, when he popped that shield, he was able to maneuver away behind the shield.
This is why this composition is so dangerous. Every single member, every single hero on the side of Cambodia can make the plays happen. Whereas for Indonesia, it's about unity. It's about synergy, playing as 5, because otherwise, alone, the Yves, the Lolita, the Melissa, they cannot make these plays happen alone. Even Taz right now is being completely countered. They need to play around each other and get that united team fight to get that victory.
18 minutes in, this is still an enhanced Lord though that Cambodia took. They couldn't risk waiting for that 18-minute mark for the evolved Lord to spawn. It's them now trying their best to micromanage the waves. Taz, very risky play again, walking in front of that Kaja. T's been absolutely solid with his Divine Judgments. Both teams are opting to play it still very slow, building those waves up for Cambodia to crash and siege.
Not to mention, T has the Flicker, so beware of that Flicker Divine Judgment combo. But here we go. Cambodia sieging away, and look at T.
T looking for it now, gonna get stunned up. Not able to find a Divine Judgment. That's the Petrify onto one member. Deja is the only one caught there. The real world manipulation instantly cancelled out, and Indonesia opts to clear out the Enhanced Lord first. Bottom lane gonna be targeted here. That's gonna be an amazing winner structured by Hijime to escape from the Divine Judgment threat. Lumina Blast now onto one member. It was dodged away by Lutu and Boom, who's now caught in the base. Immortality still available. 1 for 0 right now for Cambodia. Boom getting out. Taz jumping in, looking for some damage. Not able to connect on the second Rhythm of Joy, and Cambodia will try their best to look for another push.
Hijime has the Holy Crystal, so that's a lot of damage. He is the main wave tier 2 right now, but Psychos goes in.
Final blow used up. Deja gonna be caught there, but still is able to run away with the oddity. Psychos gonna be taken down. The crossbow tang massive. OP is absolutely overpowered. The real world manipulation and desperation. Boom gonna be caught. Immortality's popped in. Lutu looks for the base, and Cambodia gets the first game in the series. Another massive victory for Cambodia.
We said Joy was OP. We said the team that has Joy will win the game for sure. Cambodia says no. That is not the case at all. We have the answer. They just completely shut Taz down. The mechanical genius cannot show his skill. That is props to Cambodia, man.
We all thought Joy was unbeatable. Cambodia definitely showed that Joy was unbeatable in their game against Malaysia. To do this up against Indonesia, a team that haven't lost a single game in ISF so far, when you give them Joy, the unlosable, quote-unquote, character. Cambodia right now are on a different level, and this just spices up the tournament even more. The tournament favorites all might be going down to the lower brackets.
That is insane, man. You have to question right now, is the joy pick something that the Indonesians were not ready to utilize, right? Because it does seem like Taz, occasionally, as you mentioned, Mirko, misses some of the rhythm, some of the hops as well, comes in at real unfortunate moments. So we'll have to see if the same strategy gets applied. But looking at the highlights, the early game is just absolutely chaotic, and this is how we like it. Both teams wanting to be aggressive. Indonesia, even though they don't have a lot of pickoffs, they are willing to take the fight to Cambodia, and Cambodia are just so happy to oblige. They go in with those pickoffs. They make so many good setups, hiding in the bushes, hiding in plain sight even, and they are able to get a lot of moments catching Indonesia off guard. And even though in the late game it got kind of close, even though on paper Cambodia was not supposed to win in that late game, in those big team fights, they find a way to make it work. They utilize the objective gameplay as well, and they're showing again, even though we're not the favorites, we are a top tier contender. Take us seriously or pay the price.
OP did so much for the team here. You could see, but the entire team played around him so well in this game. OP was behind early on. You could see that he was taken down twice here in the 9th minute mark. Indonesia seemed to have control, but in the mid-game, it all changed after one team fight. And that's the Lord fight right here that you see. Saikot's got an amazing flank, but OP, when you try to flank him, it seems like it's always going to be turned around. He's always positioned so well in these team fights, but he's not too far back. He's always in a position where he can hit, but he can't be hit by the enemy team. There was another moment in this match where it turned around back to Indonesia's favor. And here, this was the moment where OP outplayed Indonesia. It was a 2v4 situation with Boom dying right here. I thought it was over at this point with 4 members marching down the base. Tell us what happened here, Arashi. Dissect it for us.
I think Indonesia got a bit of advantage here. They thought that it was over, like you mentioned, Mirko, but it did not put into consideration the fact that there are so many playmaking tools in the hands of the Cambodians, and they paid the price. They could very easily back away, use the Lord, maintain that discipline we've been talking about, and slowly but surely strangle the Cambodians. But that is not what they did. They got overzealous. They figured that they can take the fight to them, and they paid the price, as we mentioned already. So Indonesia right now needs to decide how they want to do this, because for Cambodia, they have a solid plan. They have solid workarounds for all the issues that Indonesia has been throwing at them, and the match MVP is going to be OP from Cambodia, flexible with the wave clear, with the pickoff potential as well.
Fanny Ban coming in from Cambodia. Still though, even after winning game 1, they are respecting Indonesia's prio picks, comfort picks. The Diggy will be banned out. Similarly to game number 1 by Indonesia. The award is still up for grabs, but the 1-1 now is actually going to be banned out by Cambodia, who has the first pick on the blue side, technically forcing Indonesia to choose between the the Kaja or the Valentina.
Or the Martis, or
Leomord.
all the heroes available right now.
But
It's
I think
all
for
so
first pick
situational.
prio, it's mostly still just Valentina Kaja. For this case, because of all the other heroes banned.
I must say, again, with the players being so mechanically gifted, I think having that suppression is just so much more valuable than the other aspects, the other attributes available from these other heroes. So I think I agree, Valentina and Kaja will be important, but will Indonesia ban one of these options, or will they let both open so they can pick one for themselves? It's going to be the Kaja banned out, so Cambodia, no joy.
No Joy, no Kaja, no Diggy. Valentina still in the fray for them to pick up. If it's not the Valentina though, Leomord, Martis. I think right now it just, Leomord. Ooh, Leomord. I was expecting the Valentina actually to be picked up here, but it does seem like Cambodia wants to put Lutu on, to put this Leomord on Lutu in the jungle.
For Indonesia, I guess it will be that Valentina. It really makes sense. No, going up against a Leomord, fighters like this, Valentina has a lot of utility and damage available as well. And we keep talking about this, but wave control, wave pressure. Indonesia were able to actually abuse it so much in game number 1. Unfortunately, maybe not enough. Maybe they didn't play the late game team fights correct. But the early game, we can see that Indonesia were the ones aggressing, were the ones having momentum. So I think they will have a lot of emphasis in that wave clear department as well. Beatrix can be an option, Valentina as well.
Beatrix Benedetta. certainly can be the option to go for here in Valentina, like we mentioned earlier. But Indonesia, usually, if we take a look at their previous games, the Lolita, the Benedetta.
Wow, okay.
Whoa, okay, so it's a different approach, yeah. Usually we see the Fanny, the Kaja, the Beatrix always being the prio for Indonesia, but because a lot of those heroes were banned out, they decide to go for the Yu Zhong, a signature pick for Psychots in this tournament so far. Cambodia picking up the Angela with no hesitation. They want to try to play around this Leomord. And honestly, yeah, Angela works, especially with that new Aspirant skin, Arashi.
It's a very, very cool skin. And we've seen, I think, other teams, other countries ban this Angela against Cambodia. So maybe this is exactly what we've been missing out on from Cambodia. We'll have to see, though. Indonesia, understanding that OP is usually just very oppressive, pun fully intended. They go for Psychots on the Yuzong, which has been a very good solution to these hyper carries in the back line. They still go for that Yi for the utility. And now Cambodia with the Cult Altar, though. That means that they're going to be clumping up quite a bit. Maybe Indonesia can set up for some kind of combo.
Fairness, Angela, Leomord, very heavy dive comp here, and Indonesia need to pick up a hero that can really withstand this kind of dive or can counter the dive, right? The Fredrin becomes a solid option here, but we've already seen the Yuzhong picked up earlier on.
Jungle?
I've never seen Taz play the Fredrin in the jungle, but the Akai is another solid option, another good disengage. We've seen Taz play that one in the second game against Philippines, and it will be locked in for Indonesia. That's the Akai in the jungle, but it can also technically still be flexed into the roaming position.
Ooh, Roma Akai, though, against an Angela. Obviously, Cambodia, I think they will rely more on the laners to be aggressive and have the Angela as more of a support, so Indonesia can get more value, more aggression in the early game. But now we're down to the second banning phase. What will Indonesia try and ban away? Because crowd control is definitely necessary for Cambodia to make this composition happen. The Lapu Lapu is banned away. We saw that Boom was able to use it to maximum effect, enabling Oppi, giving him a lot of space in those big team fights. And now for Cambodia, they themselves would want to try and deny perhaps the DPS that can melt through their very tanky composition.
Indonesia are setting themselves up pretty well with the bans here. They noticed that, again, Cambodia really likes to play around these dive-centric compositions. Taking away the Lapu is a solid option, but that's the Atlas ban as well from Cambodia. Just again, trying to nullify the threat that Dreams has. We all know on these crazy, flashy heroes, Dreams really likes to pop off. But right now, honestly, for the roaming position, for the roamer, I'd actually like, if I'm Indonesia right now, I think I'm hovering over the Mathilda, right? You need a little bit more utility. It's an amazing hero with utility. It can also be synergized well. It actually synergizes well with the Akai as well, right? You can pin people down with the help of the Circling Eagle when you are in that heavy spin position, when you have that ability active.
Well, I wonder if the Kadita is going to be banned away. Because for Cambodia, I think it's a very solid option, but of course, already heroes in that role, so it won't be there. And I don't know if Indonesia will be willing to use it, maybe defensively. They ban away that Masha, though, and Franco is the ban from Cambodia. I find it quite peculiar, honestly, the Franco ban, because I think Indonesia with the Franco is going to be a pretty weird composition, right? You're hooking people closer to your team when you want to get away from them. Maybe they're afraid of that buff denial, you know, the early game pickoffs for Indonesia to start snowballing. But now we're down to the final 4 picks for both these teams. Indonesia for sure will require some DPS.
I think it's also because of just that suppression that he has in the Bloody Hunt. Becomes such a good cover peel utility tool for Indonesia. But now with the banning session done, in both the first phase and the second phase, Indonesia will look to go for the first pick, which is still going to be that Melissa. This time, I actually like this pick a bit better than last time, right? You're up against a Leomord. The go away can have a little bit more use here, especially with the peel already there, ready with the Akai.
Not to mention there's Psychots on the Yuzong as well. The Furious Dive can be used defensively if it's necessary, so we'll have to see. I think we have to wait on that final pick. Is it going to be more aggression, more defensive? But for Cambodia right now, They require a golden of their own. It might be an Irithel. Works well with the dive nature, the movement speed forward from Cambodia. And if they take high loss as well, that is a big slow, a big front line, a solid stun as well. So moving with speed here from Cambodia, maybe relying a bit on the Angela slow as well to try and catch the members of Indonesia off guard.
Well, you know, we've always asked how to counter the utility from Yves, maybe with more movement speed, right? There's a lot of sprints there. With the Irithel being so mobile, there's a Leomord, a Faramis as well, and the Hylos. This is a movement speed composition. Indonesia might actually find it very difficult to lock people down with this kind of composition. They're going to lean heavily on, again, that Petrify from Psychots. But we saw, even in game number 1, with the Benedetta Petrify, Cambodia splits up really well before that flank to prevent that from happening. Indonesia with the final pick here, they need a
Roamer. Unless the Akai goes into that roaming position, which is, you know, can work, but not really. And we mentioned the Kadita. Dreams on this Kadita is very, very dangerous, but we'll have to see. It's a mixed bag from Indonesia. Some kite back, some engage, some pick off, some team fight. Whereas for Cambodia, it's full metal, pedal to the metal. They want to go all the way in and take out Indonesia.
Oh, man. Indonesia with the Kadita, they're basically trying to limit that move speed. They're trying to limit that mobility from Cambodia with another Petrify. Another CC lock hero that we just mentioned earlier. That's basically the tools for Indonesia to win. That's their win condition. If they can actually burst someone down, petrify them, stun them up for the rest of the members to follow up, it's going to be a good day, a good game for Indonesia. But if Cambodia somehow are able to maneuver around that or to split up so that only